Welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for our monthly angel energy reading for the month of April 2022. So before we begin, I'd just like to welcome everyone who's returning this month to this particular series, and also welcome anyone who is new to the community. Last month, I was posting the new logo design for what will become the Angel School will be becoming the Angelic Wisdom LLC. So so we got like a lot of feedback, and it seems as though that their both designs are neck and neck. The green design just sort of barely eked out 2 points ahead of the purple design. So I'll be looking at that, and maybe we'll probably taking elements from both and combining some of the things that people liked with the purple probably with the green. So we'll be working on that, and then probably get back to you. So thank you all for your support in that way. Also, I will be working on the zodiac readings for each sign, so that will be coming out sometime after this video, so that you get a chance to see this one first. So this is just a general reading of the energy for the month of April, like just general information, that they're just writing the word information. And the format here is that we have the card in the center is from Diana Cooper's Archangel Oracle that I've been working with now since this year. And the cards flanking on either side are from Radleigh Valentine's Guardian Angel Messages Tarot. And in the guidebook there, he has messages from the guardian angels for every card. However, what we'll be doing here is using one card from the Major Arcana, which will just give us the overall sort of perspective of what major lesson that you're working with in this month. I just saw the word psychology, so that there may be some major themes or that we might be dealing with in terms of our own personal psychology that this might reveal for you this month. So be aware when we look at this card how that might be manifesting and for you. And then in the card on the right is from the Minor Arcana, and this will highlight how that major lesson or theme is unfolding and playing out in your life, and offer some advice about how to work with that information. Now, just before we go ahead and get started, I just also want to make you aware that for this year, since this is actually my 10th year on YouTube, it started June 4th, 2024. So maybe I'll do something a little bit more official at that point. But this year, I'm just offering my first time promotional angel reading for everyone this year. It's $103 for an hour, and that reading will be available to all of my clients, new, old, repeat, whatever. So this year you can get that. I think it's just simpler to do it that way. All right, so, and all you need to do is go to my channel, theangelschool.com, my website. Currently, this month, that may change. So if so, I think there will be a way for us to link you to the new website, and if necessary, I will come in and change the link to this video or any of the videos where I have made that announcement. Okay, so let's take a look now and begin this reading, and take a deep breath. And just really breathe into your heart space. And really tuning in with your inner wisdom. And what they're showing me is a tree. And a very wide, the trunk of the tree is very wide. So it tells me that we're all really, creating space for the channel of information. So that means that we can really have a lot of opportunities for creativity and just being in the flow and being receptive to abundance. What was curious about it was that the tree was sort of like a yin and yang. Where one side was, the left side was dark and the other side was light, but also there were orbs or circles on, I think there were like 2 sets, and one was on the dark side, one was fully light, and the one above it was balanced with half dark and half light and then dark. And then the same thing happened on the light side of the tree, where one circle was dark and one circle began with dark. Half of it was dark and half of it was light. And so this gives a sense of really finding some balance. It gives me a sense that in this month, because of the way it's just illustrated, with such detail and precision about how things were placed, especially those inner orbs on the each side, there's a symmetry to it. And so it gives a sense of sort of balance and equilibrium, finding a sense of equilibrium in this month. And also, it feels like an integration or coming to terms with all aspects of the self and all aspects of what life is bringing to you, both in terms of changes and challenges and opportunities, that there is some kind of new awareness, new perspective. Sorry, I have something just in my eye. That helps you to feel more at peace and more grounded. Okay, so be aware of that energy unfolding for you in this month. Now there's kind of just showing me, so usually I see a naked behind, and that tells me that the person, there's a vulnerability, but here there's underwear. I don't understand it. But this, and the thing about it was, which is a little weird, the underwear kind of looked like male underwear at first, very, like something very expensive, like designer underwear. And then it turned into sort of a mini skirt. I don't know what that means, but in terms of, it feels like self-care. It feels like, being more focused on details, right? The details underneath, in terms of taking care of yourself, maybe raising standards in your private or personal life or awareness, that you are, it just feels like some, like where we tend to take neglect sort of those little details, like underwear, for instance. I don't know why they're showing that, but sometimes there are some people who really will do very fancy things. And it's almost like you're thinking about the different layers, that not only what's on what people see, but also what people can't see. And that's a real sort of form of awareness of self-care. Because sometimes what we focus on is just a facade, but we don't focus on what's happening within. And so that's sort of what it's given me a sense of. And also the switch between the two gives me a sense of being yourself. And I feel like this balance that we saw in the tree is some kind of awareness that you need to start being true to yourself from the inside out, and honoring this dynamic of whatever you're projecting. Make sure that you're giving that to yourself equally on a personal level, so that that's the only way that you can really obtain this balance or this equilibrium that they're showing us. And it's also important to our ascension process, in terms of going from that 3D paradigm to the 5D, five-dimensional paradigm, is that often we are so focused in the 3D paradigm about what the outer world, because we're putting all of our attention to validation from others and trying to conform or fit in, not to, seeing ourselves through the lens of others, instead of paying attention to who you really are, your own uniqueness, your oneness, and being a channel for that, being that authentic expression in the world, so that your inner and your outer are the one and the same. It's all true to who you are. And you allow and you cultivate, even activate for others this same awareness or similar awareness. That wouldn't it be just amazing that because we are being true to ourselves, inner and out, and in our self-care, inner and out, that we began to foster this and encourage this expression, uniqueness, in everyone else around us. So that this is what I feel is a truly happy world and an evolved world, where we all are not looking to try to be like one another, or trying to force people to be the way that we are, so that we are comfortable. But we're helping and supporting others and being true to themselves and supporting their own happiness, even when we may not like it or agree with it. But we understand that for that person to have peace, for you to have peace, you must also encourage someone else in their own journey towards what gives them peace. And there's just in that fifth dimensional blueprint, it seems ideal, but there's a lot about it that we also still cannot grasp. But when you neglect your own inner self, your inner self, and you don't take care of yourself, right? You neglect self-care, then you really will struggle with understanding others and being able to support them. And that understanding, because when you acknowledge that you have and you attend to your own needs, your own needs of self-care, you are embracing and you're being attentive to your own journey and the struggles, the challenges, the opportunities, the joys. It's all there for a reason. And when when we don't have enough personal self-care, we don't understand ourselves. We don't understand the bigger questions of why certain challenges are happening. We miss that they are helping to shape aspects of us into something that we have been deeply seeking and hoping for. But when we neglect ourselves, we neglect our own awareness, our own understanding, and therefore we turn our lives into something that we criticize or we complain about, that we see something as a source of unhappiness, meaning we're blaming, looking for blame everywhere. And that just creates an environment where you really can't be truly happy or fulfilled, because you're missing those important moments in your life, those important milestones in your life. Okay, so let's take a look at the archangel that we're working with for this month. Okay, so this is Archangel Perlimiak. And the message says here, let nature soothe you, serve the nature kingdom. All right, so one of the things that I'm getting from this card, now, Archangel Perlimiak's retreat is over in Africa and Zimbabwe. So he has an etheric retreat. And so one of the interesting things about this, that this is going to be like, the month of Earth Day, right? So this is really appropriate. And one of the things that I'm getting a sense of, as before the reading started, I saw like flowers. So like roses in particular. So this is telling me that spending time in nature is going to be really important. Now, they're writing the word purity. And there's going to be a really important reason for you to connect with nature. Nature, especially the areas where you're living, okay? Nature, like the trees, are a portal for, downloads of information. All of the plants, the land is like a local newspaper of energy. So it's like a local newspaper, and it's also like a pharmaceutical, and it's all in the same context. So that when you are drawn to a particular flower in your area or tree, that tree or that flower is calling you and has a particular medicine, a vibration that has information and healing qualities that will help you in this month to really get in alignment with your own inner nature. So it's the same thing with the vegetables that we eat, especially those that are locally grown. Really be aware of this. It's like you're eating the newspaper, you're digesting that. And that information, that energetic information, goes through your body into your cells and brings those nutrients into your physical body's health. So it really is important this month for you to connect with nature. Now, you think about it now, the springtime has already started. The earth will start to regenerate and bring forth all of these new beautiful plants, leaves, and all of those so that's that regenerative power. So this is about picking up on that regenerative information, that fresh information to get us sort of started. And, you know, this is the sign of Aries. So it's sort of like the beginning of the zodiac. So it's all kind of aligning. And what's going to be really important is that, and that's why I feel like we're coming out of something and sort of been giving birth to something new. And there is that information that the nature, the plant kingdom, and the earth can provide for you. And you know, it's in alignment with the frequency of your desires, your dreams, your goals, your new goals. So really, whether it's your, you know, getting your foods and your things, herbs, whatever, from a local area, because what's important is you live in that area, right? So the nutrients and the vibrational information it's all sort of groomed and tailored for you because you are a part of that environment. Energetically, you've already become a part of your local environment. It already has an influence on you. And the new life that's coming forth from the earth is also there to support you. Whether you are going to digest it or you're going to connect with it through a plant, a tree, a bush, whatever you're drawn to. So make sure you really get out in nature and connect with nature, as well as even the local animals that are in your area. Okay. And what this will do, they were writing a word in front of me, oppression. So this will sort of help to release you from anything that has sort of oppressed your consciousness or your energy. Okay. And even it's a way to sort of detox by, you know, eating these fresh vegetables or connecting with these, to connect with the plants and the trees will detox your frequency, your energy bodies, and the food that you eat will help to clear out some of the impurities that have accumulated in the body. So, of course, you know, doing that, being smart about that, and looking at different things. There's so many books and things out there about, you know, natural foods and detoxes, right? So I know one of my very good friends loves The Medical Medium, and she has the cookbook. And when I went for my birthday to the Poconos, she was prepared all of this food by The Medical Medium. And I tell you, like, I only was there for a couple of days, but all this week I really felt the effects of it in the purging process. So if you've been feeling called, and I feel like one of the reasons why Archangel Perlimiak is bringing this up is because as we're shifting this aspect of our lives, diet and nature is going to play a vital role in our being able to assimilate the upgrades from the 3-dimensional blueprint to the 5th-dimensional blueprint. That's a very important part of it. You know, exercise and eating healthier. You might really find yourself wanting to eat lighter foods or, you know, that have more energy for you. And that's because if you've been processing a lot recently, your energy is changing, okay? So that you're really experiencing the shifts, and you need to start being aware of diet, exercise, etc., that they are there to sort of help you to acclimate and sustain these higher frequencies. All right, so let's take a look at the Major Arcana card, because boy, you can just go on about the details of these things that they present to us. All right, so here we have the Lover's card as a sort of major lesson for this month. And since they mentioned earlier the idea of psychology for this card, I'm getting a sense of this needs to be put in the context of that self-care, self-love. Since they made a point of directing that this is more psychology here. So in this month, really what it's about is self-love. And being aware that, as we were saying earlier, without true self-love, you really cannot love others or receive the love that is coming from others. And I'm not just talking about, soulmate relationships. I'm talking about opportunities. If you don't give attention to such details, such as that involves self-care, and it's not just meditating, although that's one beautiful facet of it, but it's really looking at sleep. Like, for instance, one of the problems I have in self-care, I know, is my sleep. That for years, I struggle. I can fall asleep. That's not the problem. But I don't prepare to go to sleep. So therefore, for years, I was falling asleep in my office chair. It was a big chair. I got rid of it so I could stop doing that. Got a chair that was not that comfortable, still a little comfortable, not that comfortable, that I would fall asleep in it and not go to bed. Now it's leaving the light on and falling asleep in the bed with the light on. So, like, those are kind of details we have to start paying attention to, or diet or exercise. It's all around the physical body. Also, this card indicates that the earth, Gaia, because Archangel Perlimiak works in connection with Lady Gaia, obviously because of nature, and is helping with overseeing with her the upgrade of the planet and every being on the planet in their fifth dimensional blueprint. Okay, so this is why this whole self-care, and we've all been feeling shifts, and we've been going through a lot of emotional stuff and mental and all that other stuff. But now it's about the physical body in this month, and self-care, taking care of your needs, the things that bring you joy and pleasure and happiness, to really start getting a little bit more involved in the details of how that can unfold and how you can really enhance it and enrich the experience of self-love and self-care within your life. Because it will have, I'm hearing, just huge ripple effects in terms of how you perceive opportunities that are out there in the world, that are always there. The universe is always offering you an opportunity, even when you're being challenged. That's being done for you to provoke you to awaken, to be activated on your behalf and for the rest of the world as well. If we are all neglecting, and I think that's really what we're seeing in the dysfunction of our world today, and the upheaval, and the way that it's just raw and sort of like insane, right? The things that are going on, we are acting out. We're in a time of the, I think almost like we're at the height of our awareness in terms of education, so many facets of life that thousands of years ago that we just weren't up on, maybe, right? And yet we're seeing like it's almost like these children, I don't even want to put it that way, we're seeing just cruelty, right? We're seeing just a lot of ugliness, and it's all coming out like babies or children that are just retaliating and resisting, right? And that's all because we've advanced technology in so many ways. But the one thing that we have not advanced is in our own psychology. We really don't put the emphasis on it that it needs. A lot of people are still stigmatize it, and then therefore our self-care and and self-love is neglected, because things like, you know, ambitions and you know, greed and power, all this stuff is just, it's the thing that we keep giving our attention to. And when you do that, it's because you're afraid, you know, you're afraid of not having enough. I'm talking about rich and poor. It doesn't matter. We're living in a capitalist society. We're consumed by this need for power, and our soul doesn't resonate with that because it doesn't have an awareness of lacking power ever. Power is always full within its experience, and that power is love. And it is our true power. This is the thing that we really need to surrender to. And if we were all taking care of ourselves, just imagine how peaceful the world would be if everyone truly had a version of self-care, self-love that was strong in their lives. All right, so let's take a look at the card from the Minor Arcana, and the message that is here for us, how this might be unfolding. So this is a card that's showing walking away from something, or moving away from something, right? So there is this sense that you may find yourself changing direction, moving in another direction, giving up the fight. Because the card that comes before this is the Five of Swords, and you usually see that some kind of unfair battle where, you know, someone has taken advantage. And so, you know, you can either stay in that struggle, or you can decide that this is not who I am. It's like a power dynamic, power struggle, and you decide to move on, to graduate from that. And the number 6 is, and we have 2 6s here. So this is about community, cooperation, collaboration, the number. And so what we're moving towards is, but first it has to, in order to have this sense of collaboration, cooperation with others, we first have to have self-love. So, that means that instead of fighting for things that you don't really believe in, you know, that you start fighting for yourself. You choose yourself. You choose peace. You choose harmony over confusion, over struggling, over surviving. You choose to thrive. You let go of this three-dimensional paradigm of dueling forces and fighting against things, battling it out, you know, the need to be right. The need to be right. Letting that go. Staying in situations, relationships, and jobs where, you know, people are not honoring you, valuing what you bring, and you keep trying to fight the battle there. And I'm not saying that we're not called to do that at times, but you have to know that, like, when was it that you got out of that for yourself? You may have learned a lesson that has nothing to do with what you were fighting for, but that was what you were there for. And you have to be aware and recognize, and self-care, self-love will tell you, point it out to you more easily because of the practice, so that you will recognize that you have acquired the lesson that you needed to remain, is just to insist upon suffering, which is not required of you. So relief, hope, moving on. So I feel like you're going to recognize that it's time to move on. And believe it or not, connecting with nature, that higher frequency of awareness and what is being played out energetically in your region, in your location. So remember, the earth is a school, talking about Earth Month and honoring the earth. The earth is a school. Even in astrology, it's like it's a place of lessons. It's a classroom. So where you live is a classroom. When you connect with nature and the plants, they hold the lessons of that classroom. They hold the energy that you need to assimilate to help you through that lesson. It's just like the angel was showing me, like the Superman, you know, how those little crystal, with the crystals that he had, and he put it in, and there was like a computer. Think of the plants and the trees as the same thing, and the food that you eat. That when that information you ingest or you breathe in or connect with telepathically will bring to you it's like, I don't want to say it's bringing you the cheat sheet, but it's bringing you the higher teacher or the higher information to be able to work with that lesson, that classroom that you're in. It's like the books. It's like the reference books in a library. And you're writing a paper and you're trying to do you're researching, and we have libraries to support our knowledge, to support the experience that we're researching. And this is what nature is for us in the areas where we're living. So let's say your job is in a different location. Well, you work there and you spend part of your time there. So you have two areas in which you are, processing the information. So when you go outside and get a breath of fresh air, you will get the sort of the insights. It'll refresh your mind and provide you insights for the lessons that why you're working in this particular sort of classroom of and what your role is there. So this is why it's really going to be important for you to connect in with nature and be aware, but also be aware that for some of you, you're going to discover that you're done, that you may have stayed longer than you were supposed to, and you knew it, but you stayed because you were just in it for the drama, for the fight, but you were just fighting. You weren't fighting for something. And you got to make sure that you're not in any fight, and I'm just using that word, without having something that you stand for. And when you know what you're doing, then when you've reached the point of your purpose, you will step out of it and let everybody else, if they can't see it, continue. But you must move on. And part of that is hopefully something that we are also learning on a collective level, that is we just keep seeing all these outbursts and stuff for the last 5-6 years, because all of this is reaction to the transition of moving from the 3-dimensional blueprint to the 5th-dimensional blueprint. The ego, we're looking at the collective ego putting up a resistance to embracing oneness. So at some point, we got to say it's enough. And collectively, we're going to have to do that. Enough. We got to say it to all of our government officials and leaders. Enough. We don't need this, and we don't want this. And we put people in place that also, how I want to say this, think about our quality of life. And that they are sort of, I'm going to say this really awkwardly because I don't want to waste time, that they think about our needs and self-care, etc., and create a world where we have time to take care of ourselves more, and not create a world where they make us work more, and we have to neglect ourselves and work more. It's like, with technology, it was meant to give us time, free up our time. But instead, they used it to take up more of our time. And that's in one of the major ways where we collectively choose to be neglectful. And it takes us away from that self-love component. And our souls, as we elevate to the fifth dimensional blueprint, our souls are, coming, coming more, or it's grounding into our human experience. And therefore, that component of love becomes now an important piece of our focus and our attention. And it is the cause of many of the unrest that we're seeing, because it is showing us things that we did not see before when we were asleep in the matrix of the 3D, of the ego. Now, with your higher self being more fully embodied, there is no place to sleep, no place to be blind. And so we're struggling with that collectively. But nature is there to help soothe us. And look at that. And we don't really take care of nature. But it's because of this lack of self-love, self-care piece. And when we do this, we will start to shift that and express that love. Self-love will turn outwardly and also love all the things around us, nature and our neighbors. All right, so I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and I wish you all a beautiful month in this transformation of loving self and making choices that honor yourself and that are all displays of self-love. And I pray that this be sort of, I think of that song, "Oh, What a Wonderful World," that this would be a wonderful world when we all have self-love. God bless you.